Do you ever get the feeling like the Mórrígan's message is loud and clear, only for everything to go sideways when you try to act on it? You're not alone. And no, you're not cursed or broken or doing it wrong. I want to talk today about what happens after you get the message, when you're interpreting correctly, you're hearing her, and then it's time to respond. Because that's often where we can kind of fumble the ball a little bit. So, I'm Lora O'Brien, Irish Dree, dedicated priest of the Mórrígan for over 20 years now. I've seen this pattern again and again and again in my own life and in the stories that shaped our Irish culture, especially the story of the Second Battle of Tuired, Cath Maige Tuired. So let's ground this a little bit in the source lore. In the Cath Maige Tuired, the Mórrígan does what she always does, every year. In this particular example, she turns up before a battle, but each year she meets the Dagda at the River Unshin. This is the bed of the couple. This is their annual meeting as husband and wife, and this is the only time the Mórrígan is said to, or is noted to, have had actual intercourse. So yeah, it's a bit sexy, but it's very strategic. That moment is about alliance, sovereignty, and preparing for what's coming next. And then she speaks. So we kind of get a version of what she says. We don't get direct Rosc poetry right there. But generally when she speaks through the course of this mythology, of this story of the Second Battle of Tuired, she changes the course of things. She uses Rosc poetry, so not just words, but battle spells, prophecy, declaration. She urges the Tuatha Dé Danann to rise, to fight, to destroy, to protect. She doesn't just cheerlead, she literally sets the whole tone for the battle. So here's a small slice of her Rosc from the text. Arise, kings, to battle here, seizing honour, speaking battle spells, destroying flesh. She's not whispering affirmations. She's naming what is and what's about to become. This is incitement, which would be lodged in this particular example, which is incitement by telling you how amazing you are, basically. And then we have Rosc, which is incitement by telling you what a dope you are and you need to get your shit together, basically. So those are two different types of incitement we see through the Mórrígan's mythology. This particular one is lodged. She's not whispering these affirmations. She's naming what is and what's about to become. And after the battle, she doesn't disappear. She prophesies again what's to come. A vision of societal collapse at the end of it all. No rulers worth a damn, cows without milk, trees without acorns. She's not just war and victory. She's pattern recognition. She's reading the weave of fate. And I do go into this prophecy and her divination, her Rosc poetry, very, very deeply in my forthcoming book, which is out in August. You can pre-order it now. It is available through Llewellyn or anywhere you get your books. Or you can go to morrigan.academy/book. Just, as an aside, I really do dig into this, and it's the first time I've really seen it examined in this cultural context. So you're getting a little taste of it now, but the book tells the full story. So from the poetry, at the very end of Cath Maige Tuired, some are deprived of flowers, cows deprived of milk, women deprived of modesty, men deprived of valour. That's not an instruction. But it matters because we're in another time of unravelling now. So this mythology is very, very relevant to today, to what's actually happening. So I want to give you a small practice that you can do right now. I want you to take 10, 15 minutes to sit. Yes, actually sit down. Turn off your device. Just sit. And ask yourself, what battle is unfolding in my life right now? And for some of us, that's like, pick one. Maybe put one back down because that's too many battles, right? But really think and list them out if you need to, or think about the one that's most important to you or the one that's directly in front of you. Think about what is being asked of you. So ask yourself, what is being asked of me? In this battle I'm about to face into, or I am fighting currently, where is the messages from the Mórrígan? What advice would she give? What situation or struggle would she be able to help with? And then I want you to ask yourself, am I responding like the Dagda, who gets it right, or like someone else who refuses the message? That's very important. And that mythical context and the cultural understanding and contextual understanding that we gain from learning her true stories is very, very important to the whole, misreading the messages that happens so regularly, unfortunately. But just for this experience part, you don't really need to overcomplicate it. You can light a candle if you like. You can just breathe. Write a page, no filters, on how you're being called to show up in your own sovereignty and what that's going to cost you, because it does always cost something. There's no free passes here. Try and get into some kind of flow or rhythm. So whatever you need to do prior to sitting down with this, just see if you can kind of disengage your questioning conscious brain and try and access your unconscious. Now, this takes practice, okay? And again, please don't feel like you're doing it wrong, because practicing this is really important. And this is a very simple practice that you can do. And do it every weekend, or on your day off or whatever it is. But give yourself a little bit of space and time and do it again and do it again. Because it's these practices that start to open the lines of communication between the Mórrígan and you. And this is absolutely one of the integral ways that we can stop misreading the Mórrígan, is making sure those lines of communication are open, make sure we have practiced the skills that it requires to understand her messages, make sure that we are familiar with her mythology so we can see where it might be relevant to the Mórrígan if things are happening, or it could be something that she's already prophesied or indicated even. But what we're looking for ultimately here is kind of a Rosk-style journaling. Now, this is not Rosc poetry. That is its own thing. It's a very specific thing. There is a blog post on the Mórrígan Academy if you want to go and look up exactly what Rosc poetry is. It's ROSC. I invite you to use the search function there and definitely do that. But as you're writing, it can be a spell, a charge, a cry. So like, use strong verbs, keep it sharp. But ultimately what you really want to be doing is just letting it flow. Okay? So then comes the part that most people skip. We've done this wonderful ritual practice. We've gotten in touch with the Mórrígan. We've gotten our messages. But people tend to skip the part where we take it into our daily life, because it's the consistency that actually matters. And with regard to spirituality, magic, ritual, any of these practices, any of these beliefs, if it's not actually serving you in the everyday, or better still, serving the people around you, serving your community, if you're in any way inclined to priesthood, because priesthood is a job, right? It's a job title, not an honorific. Like, it's not about going out, putting on war paint, screaming in the woods, having a temple set up, effectively cosplaying Gaelic culture. Not looking at anybody in particular, but putting on war paint, screaming in the woods, if that helps you, go for it. I'm not trying to, yuck on anybody's yum here. But honestly, you can choose your next meeting with the Mórrígan, and you can choose your next meeting of the people around you in your everyday life very differently based on the messages and your relationship with the Mórrígan as that develops over time. So you can, for example, hold a boundary with your family, saying no when yes would be easier. That's practicing your sovereignty. That is understanding your territory. And those are very relevant to the Mórrígan. So I had a student who put it perfectly. She said, I finally stopped trying to understand her and just started building a relationship. And then when the first waves of crisis hit, I was ready. I held my boundaries, defended my sovereignty, and just handled it. So while this is lovely to do as a spiritual practice, while this is lovely to do as, you know, oh, I'm a follower of the Mórrígan and it's so cool and all the rest of it, like, I get it. I get that people want that or do that even. But what I want to do is give you the tools for your own relationship, your right relationship with the Mórrígan, with our culture, our Irish culture, from which she was born. This is the Mórrigan's prophecy in action. This is her messages in your everyday life. It's not just prediction, it's preparation. So your job this week, your mission this week, should you choose to accept it, choose one thing, just one, to do differently in your life because of something you already know. You've already had the message. Maybe you have been misreading it. Maybe, hopefully, this episode has given you a little bit of clarity, or at least the tools to be able to gain some clarity. So if you've had that message, or if you're looking for that message, and the practices that we outline in this podcast help you to get a message from the Mórrígan, live like you believe it. Make sure that you are not just talking the talk, but walking the walk. This is practical spirituality. Irish paganism, Irish polytheism is very, very much about practicality. Our magic, our witchcraft, our beliefs, our traditions, they are part of our everyday life. They are woven in inseparably to who we are every single day, not just something we pull out of a full moon or a dark moon and, you know, put on the cosplay and prance around with our plaits and spears, right? So if you find these teachings useful and you realize maybe you have been misreading her or maybe just missing the follow through, please go and sign up for our free workshop that I'm running at the moment. It is called How to Stop Misreading the Mórrígan. There are multiple dates available right now, and this is a very practical session about how people can get it wrong and how to finally get it right. And it's really, really simple. I have been working so hard to try and simplify, not dumb down, but simplify the practicality of how we can build relationship with this goddess. So go to mórrigan.academy/reg or eg, mórrigan.academy/reg or eg, and you're going to walk away with some tools, not just theory. So I hope it's useful for you. I hope you go and enroll. I hope to see you live in the workshop. It's a little special bonus if you show up live, so make sure you get that. And I really just want to hang out in community and help. So please let me help you, because that is my job as a priest of the Mórrígan. So slán, I'll see you next time.